officers were able to disperse the crowd. JP says the other man involved in this video is Rodney Peterson.
Rodney Peterson is the Logan Paul stunt double.
If you think street fights are random, you're wrong. Because in this video, we're diving into the craziest street fights ever caught on camera, and these aren't just normal people. These are UFC fighters. Let's start with the most recent story on this list, and honestly, one of the most jaw-dropping.
A video is making the rounds showing a weekend fight on Bourbon Street. In it, a UFC fighter can be seen choking another man unconscious.
April 22nd, 2023, New Orleans, Bourbon Street. Nate Diaz, one of the most recognizable faces in UFC history, is in town to corner his teammate Chris Avala at a Misfits boxing event. Inside the arena, things get messy fast. Diaz throws a water bottle at boxer Chase Demore. Security steps in. Diaz gets removed, but the night is far from over. Outside, on the famous Bourbon Street, a TikToker named Rodney Peterson spots Diaz in the crowd. Peterson had over 213,000 followers at the time, and he got them largely because he looks exactly like Logan Paul. His entire TikTok bio literally said, "Not Logan Paul." Now, depending on who you believe, what happened next was either an unprovoked attack or one of the fastest self-defense moves ever recorded. The cameras were rolling. Peterson approaches Diaz. There is a brief face-off, and then Diaz locks in a rear naked choke. Peterson goes limp, unconscious, and Diaz drops him, head first, onto the concrete pavement. Dana White's reaction the next day, he said, his head bounced like a basketball. Diaz handed himself into the New Orleans police 5 days later. He was charged with second-degree battery, an offense that carries up to 8 years in prison. But here's where the story takes a sharp turn. In September 2023, the Orleans Parish District Attorney reviewed all the footage, including multiple videos Peterson himself had posted before and after, and declined to press charges. The official conclusion, Nate Diaz acted in self-defense.
Gibson, the fighter, claims he was acting in self-defense.
Peterson later filed a civil lawsuit. Diaz's legal rep responded to interview requests with a single word, LOL. You think Nate Diaz was bold? Wait till you hear this one. Real quick, before we get into the next story, if you are enjoying this video, just hit the subscribe button right now. We put out videos like this every single week, and you do not want to miss what is coming next on this channel. April 6th, 2019, around 2:30 in the afternoon, Conor McGregor walked into the Marble Arch pub carrying a bottle of his own whiskey, proper no. 12. He was in a good mood and wanted to treat everyone at the bar, so he started pouring drinks and offering shots. Most people accepted, but one older man sitting quietly on a stool didn't want any. McGregor placed a glass in front of him, but the man pushed it away. He tried again, and once again the man refused. McGregor then moved on, serving others and enjoying himself for a few minutes, and it seemed like the moment had passed. But after about 3 minutes, McGregor suddenly walked back to the same man and without any warning, threw a left hook straight at his face. The man, who clearly wasn't expecting it and had nothing to do with any conflict, took the punch but somehow managed to stay on his stool. McGregor was quickly pulled away by his security team and escorted out of the pub. The entire incident was recorded on the pub's security cameras, and when the footage was later released, it caused major backlash. Dana White openly admitted how bad it looked, saying there was no denying what happened. The situation led to a police investigation, and in November 2019, McGregor appeared in court in Dublin, where he pleaded guilty and was fined €1,000. The judge decided that jail time wasn't necessary, and McGregor issued an apology.
It's gonna jeopardize your fighting career now having convictions.
Conor, are you ashamed of yourself?
Any comment at all, Conor?
Are you ashamed of your actions? Any message to your fans at all?
However, what made the story even more surprising was what happened later. McGregor ended up buying the same pub where the incident took place. Reports also claimed that the man he punched was no longer allowed to return there, which added a strange and controversial twist to an already shocking situation. Not every fighter in these stories plays the role of a villain, and Roger Huerta is a perfect example of that. Back in the mid-2000s, he was one of the top lightweight fighters in the Ultimate Fighting Championship and even made history as the first MMA fighter to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated. But after a few losses and issues with his contract, he moved to Bellator MMA, and his career slowly faded from the spotlight. By August 2010, most fans weren't really talking about him anymore. But after a few losses and issues with his contract, he moved to Bellator MMA, and his career slowly faded from the spotlight. By August 2010, most fans weren't really talking about him anymore. That changed in an instant when a video surfaced online. Huerta was outside a bar in Austin when he witnessed something serious. A former NFL player, Rashad Bobino, who was much bigger and heavier, struck a woman and knocked her to the ground. While many people might have hesitated or looked away, HUERTA didn't. He immediately stepped in, took off his shirt, and went after Bobino without wasting a second.
Here's I. That guy just knocked the girl out. Here's I. Dude, that guy just knocked the girl out.
What followed was quick and decisive. Despite the size difference, HUERTA chased him down and unleashed a series of punches that dropped him to the ground, making it clear that the situation was over. The video spread rapidly across the internet, and almost overnight, HUERTA was back in the spotlight. For many people, this moment stood out because it showed a professional fighter using his skills the right way. Not for ego or show, but to protect someone who couldn't defend themselves. Before Jorge Masvidal became the BMF champion, before his record-breaking 5-second knockout of Ben Askren, and long before the fame, money, and pay-per-view success, his life looked completely different. At 19 years old, he was broke, sitting in a McDonald's drive-thru in Miami when his phone rang. On the other end was KIMBO Slice, a name that carried serious weight back then. KIMBO wasn't just a fighter. He was known as the face of backyard street fighting, with raw, intense videos that went viral in the early days of YouTube and built him a massive following, especially around Miami. KIMBO invited Masvidal to fight one of his protégés, a much bigger man known as Ray, for just a few $100s. Without hesitation, Masvidal left the drive-thru, drove across the city, and showed up ready to fight. The whole thing was filmed on a low-quality handheld camera, but that didn't stop it from spreading everywhere online. What really caught people's attention was what happened in the fight. Despite being smaller and less experienced, Masvidal completely dominated Ray, breaking him down in a way that left no doubt about who was better.
Walk him right there. Walk him. Relax, walk him, relax.
Hand up, Jordan.
There you go.
There
you go, relax.
You better walk in there.
Hit in there, on the turn right there.
Strike and block.
Keep it up, Ray.
Let's go. Strike and block.
Relax, Papa.
After the fight, KIMBO was impressed. He reportedly put his arm around Masvidal and told him he was a real one, someone built for this life. They went out to eat afterward, and Masvidal later admitted that, at the time, he was struggling so much that he thought they might just leave without paying. Instead, KIMBO covered the entire bill. Masvidal even went on to beat Ray again in a rematch, and those fights became more than just viral clips. They became the starting point of his career. That same hunger and toughness he showed back then stayed with him as he rose through the ranks and became one of the biggest names in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. As his coach, Mike Brown, later said, Masvidal had been fighting for everything he had since he was a teenager, and that real-life struggle is exactly what made his story connect with so many people. So, which story on this list shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so you never miss a video. We cover stories like this every single week, and trust me, you do not want to miss what we have coming next.